The Oracle of Luna is a podcast with me, Bridget Engels, as your host. Here we have conversations with real live, present-day goddesses who are actively and courageously doing their magical work in the world. Each episode is a bewitching journey with relevant discussions on topics such as Wiccan pagan spirituality, writing, culture, magical practices, art, ritual, and the craft in its many forms. Merry meet! Welcome to another episode of the Oracle of Luna podcast. I'm Bridget Engels, your host, and today I'm delighted to chat with Yesbelt Fernandez. Yesbelt is a tarot teacher, author, and lunar guide based in New York City who helps people design intentional lives using lunar cycles, tarot, and astrology. She leads moon circles, offers seasonal rituals, and tarot readings. Yesbelt is the author of New Moon Life Design, Manifest the Life You Want Using Lunar Cycles, Tarot, and Astrologies by Red Wheel Weiser Books. For over 10 years, Yesbelt blends practical systems with intuitive wisdom, teaching people how to work with the cycles of the moon and set intentions they can follow through on. She believes in saying yes to what spirals us into synchronicity. Welcome, Yesbelt.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so happy you're here. How's your day going?
So far, so good. It's been a pretty busy day, a busy week with the launch of New Moon Life Design. And I was thrilled that you wanted to have me on today. So thank you for that.
Yeah, so we've got a lot to unpack here, so let's get rolling.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. So I usually start out my show with my guests. How did your spiritual journey begin? And what did that look like for you?
So it started in Dominican Republic. I was there for a funeral, and it was the most elaborate funeral I had ever attended. And after the funeral, I went to spend a few days on the beach. And while I was on the beach, like a tarot reader was walking by, and he did a tarot reading for me. And that was the first time that I ever got a reading. And after that, the tarot cards kind of stayed with me. And one time I saw a tarot deck for sale at Barnes and Nobles. So I bought it, and I bought a book to go along with it. And after that, I started studying different things in New York City. One of my first teachers was Robert Place, and I started following him. And I ended up attending one of his lectures at the Met Museum. And while I was there, I met like all of the other people that were attending that lecture were attending the reader studio the next day. And I was the only one not going. So the following year, I signed up. And then after that, I pretty much attended every single reader studio until COVID happened. And then the last one that they had. So that was in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And like during that time, I studied Reiki. I did yoga teacher training. I've done shamanic training, flower essences. And while I was at that first reader studio, I met Joanna Powell Colbert, and I ended up at her retreat on Whidbey Island off the coast of Seattle.
Washington,
it's this magical island.
Yes,
so I attended
beautiful.
that retreat. And while I was there, one of the participants insisted that I start doing Joanna's New Moon Tarot spread. And that's how I started incorporating lunar cycles into my practice.
Okay,
and also,
but as a child, did you have any psychic abilities or anything growing up? Okay.
Not that I know of, but my mother always said that I was whimsical as a child. That's how she would describe me. But I don't think that I was. And also, I was a very young mom. So I had my daughter at 16. So
Oh,
I
yeah,
was very much like mom from a very young age. So
yeah,
I didn't really have time to like focus on those kinds of things.
yeah,
But by the time I was 30, that's when I started getting into like more spiritual things.
sure.
And I was able to like have enough time to like do things after work and on the weekend whenever I wanted. And one of the things that I did was like a psychic development class,
Mm.
and it was to determine which Claire was the one that I had, and it was determined that I was Claire cognizant. And I find that I am like sometimes I just know things,
Hmm.
but I don't think that I have developed it enough in order to call myself psychic.
After you took Joanna Colbert Powell's
So,
class, did you start reading on your own
so
for
and
people?
by that point, I had already been reading for friends, and I had already done some events, and I was reading publicly a little bit here and there. But while I was there, I learned about lunar cycles, and then at another retreat, I was introduced to herbalism. So after I was introduced to herbalism, I dove right in, and I went as far as to get an apprenticeship at this herb shop in New York City called Flower Power.
Hmm.
And while I was working there, I was invited to host moon circles and also to sell these workbooks that I used to make every month for the lunar cycle. And one day, Teresa Reed went into the store and she saw my book. And after that, she ended up contacting me and asking if I wanted to write a book, to which I said yes.
Mm.
And that's basically how I got my book deal. It was
Yeah,
through all of those spirals of synchronicity
right.
that I said yes to.
All right. So, before we get to your book, how do you weave astrology, tarot, and new moon manifestation for practical life results with your creative practice? And why is this called a spiral journey? Just a few minutes on that, because I kind of want to give our listeners a general idea before we talk about your book.
Okay. So the way that I do it, the way everything comes together is through journaling. So having a journaling practice is important in this. That's how you create the spiral, and that's how you like have your notes. And I like to call it time travel. So I'll go through my notes from a couple of years ago and see like where I was, what I was thinking, and it's kind of like being transported back there.
Mm,
And in my notes, I have like what lunar cycle we were in, and then like what I was focused on, which is based on the lunar cycle. And then I have the tarot cards to tell me like what was going on inside, like what I was thinking and feeling, kind of like on an emotional level. And
yeah.
that's basically how I connect the lunar cycles, tarot, and astrology together. Because the lunar cycle is like the calendar, the astrology is the focus, and the tarot is the mirror.
Okay, so moving on to your book, then, what inspired you to write it, and how does the reader work with your book? You mentioned that you had a kind of a manual already for your classes. Did it develop, this book develop from that and as kind of a workbook kind of thing?
Yes. So I started, I like to do things out of order.
Yeah.
So I made the workbook before I wrote the book.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, so I made a workbook, and it was like out of my own practice. And when my friends and family became interested and they started asking me a lot of questions about like tarot and astrology, then I created the workbook with prompts so that they could learn astrology and tarot at the same time, because astrology comes first, right? It's the archetypes of the planets. And then the tarot is kind of like about the archetypes as well.
Yeah.
Like, we have the sun card, the moon card, the planets, like they all correspond with tarot.
Okay.
So by learning the correspondences of astrology and tarot, it gives the readings a much richer layer. than
Okay.
not knowing it. Yeah.
So manifestation is really trendy now, and really just intentions and focus are not enough. And there's so many books out on manifestation, but how does the yes spiral, your yes spiral system work for true manifestation for us? Can you kind of give us some how it really works on the physical plane here, and what that co-creative process is for us? I mean, obviously is going to take some work from us, right?
Yes. Yes. I would say that New Moon Life Design is a manifestation. So it started by me wanting to learn tarot and astrology. So I made an intention that I wanted to learn that. And then it kept spiraling and becoming bigger and bigger until it became a book. But the real magic behind this practice is setting the intention, and the real magic is in the action part. So that's in the what I call build. So at the waxing moon, that's when you pick one of the intentions and you make it into a goal. I really like the framework of SMART goal. And I would pick an intention and I would make it into a SMART goal and work on it. And then the following new moon, if it's still something that I'm working on, then I will continue to work on it, even if I do it from like a different perspective or a different flavor based on whatever sign it's in or whatever house it's in. But I think like the manifestation comes from the work, because
Yeah.
like I said, I wanted to write a book, but really this book took me like over 10 years to come up with all of this
Sure.
information and to put it all together.
Yeah.
So really the manifestation comes from putting the work in, thinking that that's something that you can have, and talking about it, putting your work out there.
If I were brand new to tarot and astrology and lunar cycles, what's a simple way for someone new to all this who wants to incorporate the energies of the new moon cycle in their divination or magical practice for manifestation? What's a real simple way?
The simplest way would be to, if they don't know anything at all and they just want to work with the moon, I would say find out when is the new moon and just set intentions.
Yeah.
If you if they're ready to go to the next level, then the next step would be to find out which sign the moon is in, and then find out the rulerships of that sign, and then set intentions based on that.
So let's say episode comes out. It'll be on I think the 18th, which is still in the new moon cycle.
Yes.
So what archetype or what astrology house would that new moon fall in?
So the moon is going to fall in Aries, and Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. Its motto is I am. And the intentions that you would set would be around like you as a person. So 1 year I said, what was the thing that I said? Like your personal brand. Like think about like what is your personal brand and redesign that. So like maybe you want to like update your LinkedIn. Maybe you want to get some new clothes to like fit more who you are at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's more about like being independent, focusing on yourself and being authentic. And like the models also play a big role. Like if you write like affirmations for yourself, starting with I am, and then whatever new things you may say, like for now, I am a published author.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, so then we have the astrology sign, the house that moon's in. And do we pull a card that represents Aries, or is it random? I'm just trying to think of all the pieces on that new moon that we would.
So for the new moon, the thing that started me on this journey was to do a tarot spread.
Okay.
So I simplified the original tarot spread, that it was 9 cards. So I simplified it to 5 cards. So the first card is, what is the seed of the new moon? Then the next card is, what begins to grow after the new moon? Like, what are you nurturing to grow? For the full moon, it's, what are you celebrating or forgiving at the new moon? at the moon cycle. And then for the waning moon is what are you releasing? And then card 5 is what is the seed for the next new moon? And then that card becomes card 1 at the next new moon. So each time you do the tarot spread, it's connected to the previous and it will be connected to the next. And that's what creates the spiral.
Oh, I get it now. Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Now I begin to kind of see. I'm a visual learner, so I have to kind of
Yes.
visualize how this all works. I'm really familiar, obviously, with the moon cycles. It's just how to weave in the astrology part with the tarot part. So we break it down by the cycles, which are begin, build, celebrate, and release. And then we reset right at the dark moon,
Yes.
new moon. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then like when I do it, I find out which sign the moon is going to be in at each of the phases. So for example, for Aries, the new moon is going to be in Aries, waxing in Leo, full in Scorpio, waning in Aquarius, and then the next new moon in Taurus. So if you're more advanced, then you want to take that into consideration and then think about the energies of that sign as you move through that week.
Okay. I love how this it's so beautiful how this echoes with the lunar cycles and where we are at and our energies. It's a beautiful system if we can figure it out and and start doing it and be conscious. I think like you said it's going to take work and putting our energy into it as well.
Exactly.
Can your new moon spiral system work in a group setting, such as in a moon circle? And if so, how? You mentioned journaling. Is that something that you do in your moon circles with your
So
participants?
yes, so it can work in a moon circle. I've been hosting moon circles for over 4 years in person and for 6 online. So the way that I do it is we talk about the sign, and usually I'll pick a theme from that particular sign. Like the last circle I had was in Libra, which was just a couple of days ago. So we talked about relationships and balance. And then afterwards, we did a tarot spread together. So everybody picks their cards, they write down their notes, and then we go around in a circle and share what came up for us. Like we don't have to share all of the cards, but if something is really like resonating, then we'll share that together. And then afterwards, we create an affirmation or a declaration from what came up in the tarot reading.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. And where do you do your in-person moon circles?
I host my moon circles at Flower Power, the herb shop in the East Village in New York
Okay.
City.
Okay.
And yeah, and then starting with the Aries new moon, I am starting Moon Club, which is basically a book club so that we can do the practice together. Because I know it can feel like overwhelming, especially for people who've never done this practice before but are very curious.
Uh-huh.
So Moon Club is going to be a place where we're going to use the book and do the tarot spread and set intentions together. Because I think that when an intention is said out loud to someone, it makes it come to fruition more because
Yeah.
it's kind of like I feel like responsible, like, oh, I said I was going to do that. Like my integrity is kind of like, okay, you said you were doing it, so you should do it. so so
Exactly.
it kind of helps me. It kind of helps me because I don't want to like look bad, like, oh, I didn't do the things that I said I
Right.
was going to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the other people hear you and they're integrating too, and they're like, well, you need to follow
Yeah.
through like us. So
Yeah. And also like, there are times when like I've said I'm gonna do something and I can't. Like something comes up, I can't do whatever it is. So at the full moon, one of the practice is like celebrate, but then there's also forgive. Like what do you have to celebrate? I think it's really important to celebrate things that are happening in your life, even if they
yeah.
are small.
Yeah.
And I also think it's important to talk about like what it is that you're forgiving yourself for. Because if you keep it inside, it just gets bigger and bigger. But if you let it out and forgive yourself for it, then it gets smaller and then you could just move on from it. But I think the forgiveness part is really important as well.
Yeah. So we can learn from our life experience.
Exactly.
So before we end, I would like to set aside like 1 or 2 minutes for you
Okay.
to give us an example maybe of how we would work with the new moon on, I believe it's the 18th, Saturday, the 18th of April. And that way we can kind of just kind of get an idea for our listeners, give them an idea of how your system might work. So take it away, Yesbelt.
All right. I'm shuffling my deck and let me just pull the cards. So for the new moon, we got the Eight of Wands, Lord of Swiftness. So I would say whatever it is that you've been thinking about doing, now is the time to take action and do it now. Like if it's something that you've been wanting to do, then think about who you will be and answer the question, I am, whatever you are, and then start doing it. And then for the waxing moon, we got the Page of Pentacles, which to me says it's a time for you to just go ahead, get grounded, and do this, whatever it is that you're going to take on, whatever persona you're going to take on, to get grounded in it and think of yourself as a beginner and look at it from like with a new perspective. For the full moon, we got the World, which to me says to celebrate whatever routines and boundaries you set up in order to make this thing happen. Because without boundaries, like you wouldn't be able to manifest things. For the release, we got the Magician. So I would say it's time to release resistance to making things happen. So maybe there is something that's hindering you, maybe some narrative or something in that way. So I would say release that. And if you can't do that on your own, then journal about like what it could be. And then if you want to do like some magic, then burn whatever it is. Um, I would say like get yourself like a fireproof bowl or a pot or go outside and just burn these things away, because sometimes like doing like energetic things really does make a big difference. And then for the next new moon, we got the Knight of Pentacles. So to me, that says that as whatever it was that you started at the Aries new moon is going to help you solidify it with this Knight of Pentacles, which is the slowest knight in the deck. And
I'm a Taurus, so I'm going to be paying attention to that one.
so to me, it's like a slow energy, but it's grounded and it's steady and
Yeah.
it's like confident what it's doing. So whatever it is that you start, you will be able to ground it with this Knight of Pentacles as the seed of the next new moon.
I love it. Yeah, slow and steady wins the race, as they say. Thanks, Yesbelt. And that really, I think that helps kind of get a picture, an idea of how your system works and why it's a spiral. For our listeners, do you have any upcoming plans for the future, such as events, workshops, classes? New
So
book?
yeah, so yes, I'm going to continue hosting full moon circles at Flower Power. The next one is going to be on May 1st or May 2nd. I haven't solidified it yet, but the Friday. So I think it's on the 2nd. May 2nd is going to be the next full moon circle. And then I'm having the Moon Club, which is starting on the 17th of this month to start with the Aries new moon. And then we're going to do a call to talk about like what has come up with the new moon. And then we'll have another call for the waxing moon, because I think that's where the magic really is, when you start to take action and you say your intentions out loud.
Is that online, the Moon Club?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
great.
it's going to be online. Yeah, and all of the information is on my website, which is www.yesspiral.com, and it's under Moon Club. Actually, I think it's under Moon, which is a word that a friend of mine, Carolyn Cushing, used to say, and I took it because I think it's cute, and also it describes what a lunar cycle is. So the moon is the 29 and a half day cycle between new moon to the next new moon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I noticed that in your book. Uh, and are you on Instagram or Facebook, or what's your social media?
Yes, so I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, Pinterest, pretty much any social media I'm on as Yesspiral.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. Well, thank you again, Yesbelt, so much. And congratulations on your new book. And good luck in all your future endeavors. And I look forward to reading more of your amazing book. Again, for our listeners, her book is called New Moon Life Design, Manifest the Life You Want Using Lunar Cycles, Tarot, and Astrology. Thanks for inspiring us, Yesbelt.
Thank you. It's my
Yeah.
pleasure. I
Yeah.
hope that I do inspire you to design the life you want.
Yes. And also work with the moon cycles and the astrology signs and tarot and weave it all together. That there's definitely some magic there.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks again, and thanks to our listeners for joining us today. Till next time, blessed be. Bye-bye. Spell or incantation reciting. But real quickly for our listeners, what is your website and social media
Oh,
for our listeners so
thank
they can
you.
find out more about you, your books? descendants of the Salem witchcraft trials. And hey,